I am the mum of a 22-year-old, lovely 22-year-old daughter who has been in and out of hospital over the past 5 years. So she's had 5 inpatient stays now in 5 years. We're just in the midst of a fabulous crisis because after all of that time, the psychiatrist decided to spontaneously take her off section and made her homeless on the 6th of January. So we've been thrown right into complete chaos. But that's not what I want to talk to you about. You'll be really relieved to hear. What I want to say today is that the experience of supporting another person, I mean, if there are other parents in the room, there's a kind of feral vigilance that you have, which is, it's like, what can I find out that's going to help me help this person magically get better? There's this kind of baseline kind of desire to really do something to relieve the suffering of another person. And as a parent, it's profound. So you kind of get into this state of, what can I do next? So what I've come to understand from my own experience is that actually there's all of that going on in a very unquestioned way a lot of the time. But when you step back from it and actually come back into yourself, you realize that the experience is changing you as a person. And I feel like in 5 years, the person that I was 5 years ago when my daughter was 17 and first tried to kill me. I say I shouldn't laugh, but it kind of seems humorous now, but it was a traumatizing event. It was just awful. But all of that time ago, my response to that was really, I was terrified, and I just wanted medicine to solve the problem as quickly as possible and restore us to normality. That was my goal. And 5 years later, what I can say is that I feel like I've been on a personal journey of expansion and growth, really, coming to understand that as I become more able to sit with my own distress, not my daughter's distress, but my own distress, with the reactions and feelings that I have and the fears that I have about what might happen next, or my imagined reality of really supporting Faith as she goes through a variety of experiences, is that as I can be more fully with that and be more present to myself, I create space within myself that allows my daughter to be who she is. And I think one of the great unspoken things about, we get called carers, but I really don't like that. I feel much more aligned with safely held space, this idea of being a holder, and you're holding a space for somebody. That the process of growth is really about being willing to feel the feelings that you have as an individual in your own right, and to step back from wanting to put things right for another person. And what a lot of caring support looks like is educating you on what psychosis is, or telling you about CBT, or trying to give you the skills so that you can help fix somebody else. But very few services are actually aware of the immense challenges for your own worldview as somebody in a holding space. So I mean, for me, I just feel like my entire world has been smashed to pieces by the experience. And I'm really thankful for it. It's been probably the best thing that's ever happened to me, because I've had to reflect on myself and my assumptions and my beliefs and really dig deep to find out what's really going on. That what I've spoken about has got absolutely nothing to do with my notes, by the way. So in this whole journey, I've come to understand it almost as a grief journey, and I think there are lots of different things going on. But one of the things that really struck me was when I started questioning, who am I in this? What's happening to me? I realised that I'd been through a similar process as Kubler-Ross's 5 stages of grief, although it doesn't completely explain what's happened. So you kind of move from denial, this isn't happening to me and my family, through to anger. It's like, well, for God's sake, can't you sort it out? Somebody else. Through to bargaining, which is, if I do this, then maybe that will work and, everything will be restored to how it was before this catastrophic event. I say that from the eyes of a parent. And that then takes you into when you realise that you can't alter the situation. You can become very depressed. It is facing your powerlessness, really, and that's the point where I think when you get there, I think that's when the invitation to actually feel the really tough feelings and to sit with them and not to attempt to immediately dive back into action, to remove yourself from the experience. I think that's the point where there's an opportunity for immense growth. And I'm working with Safely Held Spaces on this at the moment, and we're developing a small research project that will try and explore holders' experience more fully and look at developing some kind of model or some tool that we can share so that we can all gain some insight into what's going on. And I think it's really important for services, because a lot of the time with services we're completely invisible or sidelined or seen as that annoying woman who's on the phone again asking for something I can't give her, or it's a really tough place to be. But services may benefit from having some guidance on what's going on for a holder, because there are times when it's really difficult to talk to us. It's like, when you get really angry and pissed off because you want somebody to fix something, knowing that that's what's going on will help you communicate more effectively. Knowing that the holder actually needs to come back to themselves and start working with themselves rather than constantly putting their attention onto another to help them. That'll help develop better services and better support. So I think it's a really interesting area. I think there's a lot of experience that can be shared. It's relatively unexplored, and I'd be really interested in hearing from anybody who was interested in taking part. I think the best email to get us would be the Safely Held Spaces email, which Joanna, who's here, do you want to? I think, correct me if I'm wrong, it's info@safelyheldspaces.org. Very good. Or let me or Joanna know if you're at all interested in taking part in a survey or being interviewed. Thank you very much.